Guys, welcome back to our Bitcoin update. Right now we have a lot to cover. Ethereum has been taking off like crazy in speculation of the ETF approval. I think all season is also on the way, but I want to first start with the Bitcoin chart here because that's gonna tell us where exactly we want to exit in this bull market. So let's get started. So for you that have been following me, you know the pitchfork we have been having here from the COVID lows to the highs, the recent lows, and we're using here the modified shift. So right now the weekly time frame, we actually nailed it so far. So we basically caught the bottom at the 0.31 here. As soon as we saw the close here above the daily close, this is usually a very strong signal that the bottom is in. Nobody's talking about the 0.31 Fibonacci, but that's the most important Fibonacci. Usually you draw it from the first wave, so it has a 1, 2, 3, 4. Usually once you get a bounce from the 0.31, then there's a very high probability that the low is in, and we will go up to the minus 0.236. That's the next algo target. So the algorithms, they buy the 0.31 and they sell here. So this is basically my macro outlook. I do think at here around 85,000, I've been saying target for a long time. I do think that's going to be a major resistance level for Bitcoin. And there a person will start taking some profits. But overall, I do think the bull market top is going to be this median line. Because the previous bull market, I'll put a picture on the screen, we had the exact same pattern play out as you can see here. And that predicted the whole top. So usually the median line is a very good place to start shorting. Of course, let's see now how Bitcoin is going to play out because we're still technically in the fourth wave. We might not go so impulsively, but these lines here is more for to get a rough idea what I'm expecting. So right now, as I've been talking, we had the pitchfork from the lows here to the third wave and to the fourth wave. You can see on the shift one, I was saying it's a very high probability we're going to reach it. Not only we reach it, but we actually went through it, which is very bullish. You can see right now, Bitcoin here is retesting it on the 4 hour. So we're zooming here on the 4 hour, we went through it, and right now we're testing it. And usually this acts as support. So we might get a bounce here on Bitcoin, continue higher, but we might also break through it because this is not very strong support. Usually you want to use the median lines either when the price comes at them like this, or when you have a pitchfork at on the other way around. So you can see here, this is a pitchfork we had. We basically reached the first target. So right now it's very important that we break the all-time highs because we're still technically in the fourth wave. But I really like this pattern because we basically have a range here. So we took out the low, swept the liquidity, and right now I do think we might get a little bit more sideways before then we continue higher and break the all-time highs. Right now, there's a lot of hype in the market, and I do think Bitcoin can easily go to 100,000 or 90,000. It's going to be this median line here. And after that, we're going to have a major bear market, in my opinion. So right now here, as I've been telling, that the 0.31 fibs are the best to add on pullbacks. So you can see here, we had from this low here to the high. So we had here a smaller time frame, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we had the fifth wave here all the way up. So I do think we're now going to have a bigger Elliott wave. The only problem is with these impulsive moves, it's kind of hard to catch bottoms. But personally, if I would look into long Bitcoin right now, I would look from the lows down here. So I would take from this low here to the high. So personally, I would expect here at 68,000 to go long Bitcoin because it does look like we have some kind of Elliott wave here from the lows. So 1, 2, 3, probably making a fourth wave before we're going higher. But something I need to make clear, I'm not saying that we have to go as low. We might also start pumping here. But if we get this low, I do think here's a very valid area. If we break below that, we'll also have a nice demand zone. So I do think both 68,000 and 67,200 are good places to go long. Because I do think it's just a matter of time for us to start going higher. As I've been talking, we had a downtrend here, series of lower highs, and we actually broke it now. So we're actually technically now has started the uptrend. So I do think it's just a matter of time before we break the all-time highs and continue going to 85,000. These impulsive moves, of course, we have to be careful. Don't go over leveraged. But in my opinion, this would be a very nice area to enter Bitcoin. So that's my outlook for right now. So 68,000 before then we'll go to the all-time highs. Something very important right now is the Ethereum chart. As I've been talking for a super long time here on the daily, we start here first on the daily. I've been talking about this massive pitchfork that we had. You can see here Ethereum was actually testing support for quite a long time. But I've been saying there's no doubt in my mind we're going to go to this median line. You can see here this crazy reaction here on Ethereum yesterday. This just shows how much hype there still is in the market, how much people are still looking to buy Bitcoin and crypto in general. So here on the weekly, I've been saying I do think there's going to be a bull market top this median line here. But after this impulsive move on Ethereum, we have to recalculate because we want Ethereum to reach its median line the same time Bitcoin reaches its median line. So we want to see correlation. And of course, then we also have this pitchfork. Some people have been asking me, so why don't I use the low here like I do on Bitcoin? So this is a very valid question. But just I think this is way too optimistic for Ethereum to go to 8,000. But we never know. First we have to break at least this line here, the 0.5 line, and then we can start discussing if Ethereum could go to 8,000. In my opinion, I think it's a bit overstretched. So at least I want to look at this target first here, depending what Bitcoin do. But I do personally going to take profits here at around 4,800 or 5,000, depending when we reach it on Ethereum. So it's just a matter of time before we go up to this median line here. You see we're having the magnet. Something else we're looking at, I use the lows here to the highs and to the recent lows. And right now I'm using the modify shift. So we can see here, Ethereum right now has resistance. So in my opinion, I would like to see a pullback here on Ethereum, similar like on Bitcoin. I'm using here the second wave to the highs here. So personally, what I would really like to see on Ethereum, of course, this doesn't mean we have to go down to the 0.31, but if we go here, I do think this is going to be a major bottom at 3,570 before then we'll continue higher. Because Ethereum right now is very, very bullish in the speculation of the ETF approval, and a lot of people are right now. I do think once the ETF gets approved, a lot of banks are going to start buying Ethereum as well. So that's also just going to boost the price higher. But we have to be careful right now. I would not open a trade here personally after such an impulsive move, and we're at a major pitchfork resistance. But overall, the trend is higher. So we want to look for the 0.31 Fibs as a pullback. So if we now go on the total market cap for the altcoins, you can see here again, I've been talking the 0.31 is the most powerful Fibonacci there is. If you want to learn more about how to trade it, make sure to join my Discord and send me a DM to become part of my VIP members. And there I have a lot of educational material. I share all my private trades as well. So here on the weekly, on the total altcoin market cap, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. This, as soon as we crash down here, I said as long as we can stay above it, I do think the fourth wave is in, which it has been. Until now, we had this range here. Right now, we're breaking out of it. Looks like we're getting a green wick, and I do think it's just a matter of time before we go to the 1 trillion market cap. I think we could also go higher than this. So this is my first target for altcoins, but then we also have this very nice pitchfork that we take from the lows here to the highs and then to the lows down here, I believe. So you can see here, if we go away from the log scale, let's just use the correct one, so it's the shift one. Go away from the log scale, you can see here that we topped at this median line here. So this was a reason why we got such a big pullback, because the algorithms were selling. But if we go on the log scale, we are very nicely above the 0.31 line here. It's acts as perfect support. So I do think 1 trillion is going to be some resistance, but the final resistance is going to be 1.1 trillion. I do think here, once we reach this level, that's when you want to scale out of altcoins. So that's just something to keep in mind. Right now, there's a lot of altcoins I'm liking right now, so make sure to join the Discord. I'm very active there. You can just enter the public chat and ask me different questions for different coins. Personally, I will show you some coins I'm looking at. I'm looking at NEAR, as I've been talking for a long time. So let me just remove this. Right now, I'm currently in a NEAR trade. I've been talking that for NEAR protocol, I do think we're going to go much higher because we're perfect 1, 2, 3, 4. And then with the fifth wave, it's going to start now. Then also, if we start drawing this pitchfork here and we go to the original, as I've been saying, I do think it's just a matter of time before NEAR reaches this median line here. Of course, we will need to start moving quickly because the longer it takes, the higher the target is. But I do think NEAR is going to top at around 28, something like that, depending if we reach in August, September, maybe 24. We also have this nice, on the daily, if we take from the first wave down here to the third wave, we have the exact same pattern. Here we went long in the VIP at the 0.31. Perfect bounce here. This confirms that the fifth wave is in. So it's just a matter of time before we're actually starting the fifth wave. So the next big resistance is 15.3. Remember that 15.3 is going to be very big resistance for NEAR. We also have broken market structure here. So we had here this resistance over here. The supply zone that we actually broke through now, and right now we're coming about retesting it. I do think NEAR can see some more sideways here before then we break out, because we have perfect head and shoulders here. So it's just a matter of time before we go higher. So in my opinion, if you're not holding any NEAR, I strongly recommend to start buying NEAR. Then I also have Theta that I like a lot. So if we come here on the Theta chart, actually I've been performing very well lately. This I posted in my Discord as well. We just reached the median line here that we had. You can see here algorithms are selling. No surprise, some pullback here. But if we go on the macro level, if we go here on the weekly time frame on Theta, we still have this major pitchfork here. So I do think it's just a matter of time before Theta goes to $5. And later on, it also, if we use the lows from the all-time lows of Theta, I do think it's possible, but we have to first climb above the 0.5 line. It is possible for Theta to go to $10. I think it's less likely. I think $5 personally, I will sell most of my Theta. I also want to see how the other market is reacting, where Bitcoin is, and so on. So that's why I use this low here first to be more conservative, because I do think this is going to be a major resistance here as $5. But you really want to try to get long into these moves, because you want to ideally find entries here, because there's such a big trend that we can ride up. So ideally what you want to do is find a leverage trade to enter and then just hold it for a long time. So ideally you want to just use a low here and then the high. And let's say here, if you go on the 2 hour, if theta starts coming down to the 0.31 here, you want to open, this is just an example now, but something like this, you can open a leverage long here and then you just ride it up the whole way. So I would ride it up, let's say to 2.9, which is a major resistance zone, and then some of it you can leave the whole way up. And here's, for example, a 43 to 1. Of course, these trades are not easy to catch. You want to scale out, not all at once, but you want to take some profits at a little at a time. But most important, in my opinion, is the total 3, so the total altcoin market cap, because we're at a very critical level. And I do think, of course, we're still not out of the woods yet. We might see still some sideways on altcoins, but it's just a matter of time before alts start flying. So you really want to be an altcoin. So make sure to subscribe, because I do upload daily. Leave a comment what you'd like me to cover. If some crypto coin you'd like me to cover in the next video, make sure to join the Discord, and see you again tomorrow.
Yeah, trendsetter, whoa, league of my own, it don't get better. No, read what I wrote, I'm a bestseller. Yeah, reach